In this video, we're going to have a look at the drills and games cards for the different subgroups. So as you can see here, this is the TFF session page on the website, and further down the page you can see here parent and child group, beginners and improvers, plus drills and games cards. So let's take a look first of all at the parent and child group. So the drills and games cards for the parent and child group firstly outline an overall session structure, and then specifically the session structure of this session. Also note in here the feed and hit part of the group. This isn't really covered in this document, but it's essentially just a case of parents hand feeding their child or children balls to hit back over. If they're not capable of doing that, they can be drop fed balls or even have floor rallies. If the kid is really good, then obviously rallying with the parent is possible in feed and hit also. Further down the document you can see a general fun circuit overview and then just some outlining of the individual fun circuit stations. Feel free to invent your own stations and bring along your own equipment to create some real fun inventive stations. Stations generally will be about 1 to 2 minutes each before the coach would shout change and then move to the next station within the fun circuit section of the session. Towards the bottom of the document you can see some general group games. That's for the last part of the coach-led hour. Handball, cross the river for example, battle stations, Rolo and tidy your room, which is a particular popular one to finish the session. So there you have it, that's the parent and child group drills and games cards. Next we've got the beginners session, and here are the drills and games cards for this group. Here we've got this beginner suitability chart. Here you can have a little look at the different drills and games that work well in the different environments. And going through these, we've got the various different games around the world, attack to 10, and a variety of different games for different environments. Feel free to choose 4 to 6 of these drills and games to fill the content of the beginners group coach-led session. And finally, we've got the improvers plus group. And much like the beginners group drill and game cards, you've got a suitability chart here, so you can sort of map out the kind of drills and games that will work best with the type of group you've got. Also note that in these drills and games cards for the improvers group, there are gold cards. We consider the gold cards essential TFF content because they're games and drills that work really well, tried and tested. Here's another passing shot, a great game to use here. And like we talked about with the beginners group, we're looking for about 4 to 6 drills and games to fill the content of the coach-led hour. Let's now take a look at the gold card games in more detail. Here we have quick-fire singles. Quick-fire singles is all about a winner stays on single point. Whoever loses the point vacates the court quickly and the next person in feeds their ball in as quick as they can, trying to gain an advantage in the next point. As you can see here, person comes off, next person feeds in straight away, really quickly. The most important point to get across is that the non-active players must have a ball in their hand as they enter the court. If played properly, the game should look like it's one continuous rally, and weaker players can be given the option to tap hit, one touch to control the ball and then hit the ball back, thus making it easier and neutralize the levels a little. There's also a few variables to look at. Firstly, you can have a winner stays on for so many points, perhaps 3 or 4, and once they've won those consecutively, they need to retire from the court. And secondly, it's possible to increase the game capacity by playing over half a court, only advisable if the court features intermediate plus players. There's a few revisions of the quickfire game, and now we're going to take a look at the doubles version. Now the doubles version of the game, similar concept. Everybody must have a ball in their hand as they enter the court and then feed that ball in as they come on. They're coming on from the right side of the court, and every time the pair win the point, they stay where they are, and if they lose the point, they rotate one place round. So there you can see he's rotating round and he's feeding straight in. They're going to play the point out, and whoever wins this will stay. Whoever loses moves across. Okay, so the people at the far end are moving across now, and the person on the far side in the blue shorts is going to feed in their ball right now and start the next point. So that's quickfire doubles. Let's take a look at the final revision, quickfire triples. So again, it's the same kind of concept. Person must have a ball in their hand as they enter the court, and they'll enter the court from the right. If they win the point, their team stays in the same position. But if they lose the point, they rotate around one place. But this time, the next position rotation is to the net, and then from the net to the back court before they rotate off the court altogether. It's important to note with quickfire triples that players should not hit balls out of control and out of their ability level. Finally, in quickfire triples, it's an idea to have a variable that the net players can't hit the feed back. So the feed must pass the net player, go to a ground stroke player before the net player can play. The next gold card game we're going to look at is Champions and Challengers Double Ball. Now, double ball can be played on 2 half courts to increase the number of people playing at any one time, or it can be played as a whole court game. Let's have a little look at it in more detail. Double ball champions involves a champion at the one end of the court. They're just trying to win as many points as they can, and the challengers walk on the court with 2 balls, one in their pocket, one in their hand. They feed their first ball in, and if they win that point, they stay on to play a second point. And as you can see here, this is the first point here, and the rally's going on. So whoever wins this point will then see whether they feed their second ball in. So yes, the person in the blue's won that point, so they feed their next ball in, and he's won that as well, so therefore he becomes champion. So he needs to win both of his points to become champion. So this person's fed in, they've won that point, so they feed their second ball in. If he wins this point, he becomes champion, of which he doesn't, he's lost it, so it's the next person then feeds in. If they lose the first point, they go off straight away. So he's off straight away, and the next person with their 2 balls feeding in, and he's lost that one, so he's off. Next person feeding in straight away. They've missed theirs, feeding in straight away. And again, you need to win both points in order to get and replace the champion at the other end. Also note that the game works well by splitting the court into 2. Playing 2 half courts means more people can play at the same time. Obviously 2 champions therefore, and 2 challengers playing independently. Okay, so here we have the rotator game. So basically teams are in either 3 or 4, 3 in this case, and if you win a point, you rotate a position, and when you're the net player and you rotate off the court and collect a ball from your racket. There are 2 rackets by the net, you can see, say 10 balls on each, and every time you win a point, you rotate around, collect a ball off the racket, and then play the next point. So as you can see here, they won that point, so they're rotating around. The person there is getting a ball off the racket, and obviously the next point starts. So this team at the bottom won that point, so again, rotate around, collect a ball off the racket, and then feed the ball in. Again, it's the team that get all of the balls off their racket first are the winner. The last game we're going to look at in the gold cards, although there are a few more, so please do check them out, is Around the World. Around the World, ideally, is the very last game of the session, just for the last 5 minutes or so, with just a 1 life only. So they just got to hit the ball back, run around the court. As soon as they miss a shot, they're out. And it just leaves the session with an end of session winner. Great little atmosphere to finish the whole session. So have a consider of doing that as the very last game. And it'll only last 5 minutes. But as I say, a great finish to the session in the Improvers group.